host Nelson with Cascade Media Group. Today we're on our political channel and we have the Mayor of Kansas City, Mr. Quinton Lucas. And what I would ask my audience to do, go to whatsupkansascity.net, one of our major websites. Put Quinton Lucas in the search bar. You will see we've been covering him ever since he was a city councilman the first term, and I believe he served 2 terms, which is 8 years. And when he became mayor, we were one of the first outlets that he gave the opportunity to not just do a interview, but Zoom wasn't in fashion back then. But we came up to his office twice and had some high school students do some things. So I want to get that out the way. Welcome to the show, Mayor Lucas.
It is an honor to be with you. Thank you. Always good to be with the audience of Cascade Media Group. Always good to talk to you, Mr. Nelson.
All right. Hey, Mayor, I got my slang. Run it down to the people. What's going on in your world and how you feel that you're representing our community, and not just the because we're a Black network, but the whole community as a whole.
Let me just start from this. I think that we have accomplished a lot in Kansas City. You've seen a lot of it get done this year. Just last Friday, we broke ground at Parade Park, a redevelopment of the Parade Park neighborhood that's going to do a few things a lot of people didn't think we could do. Having a right of return for every one of those residents who is there, which is primarily Black women, a number of whom above the age of 50, and a lot of folks who are saying we want to make sure that we have a place we can afford in the core of the city that gets to be part of the benefit of what's happening at 18th and Vine. I am very proud of that. Currently, and it's a pain during construction, but you're seeing 18th Street improvements. Those improvements are helping us build up the infrastructure, walkability, everything fancy that we have done downtown Westport Plaza. We are trying to bring to the 18th and Vine Jazz District, including a new parking garage that will help us facilitate even larger crowds as things kick off around there. So that's just some of that in that one node. We continue our work on improvements along the Prospect Corridor, including development at 63rd and Prospect. Recently, I did a walk along Troost Avenue that's 10 miles. Later this year, we're going to do an Independence Avenue east-west walk. Our plan is to get to Prospect 2. This has given us a chance to explore and understand the issues from the city, listening to the people of the city, not just the people who are politically active and engaged, not just the people who are sitting on Facebook, everybody, including some of those who maybe never log on to a computer and never really worrying about casting a ballot, but whose voices still matter. So I'm very proud of that. One other thing that I'll mention in this part, we continue outstanding work on infrastructure investments, and you noted we need to go beyond just the Black community, talk about what we're doing everywhere. 75th and Warnell just talked about a new intersection. We got that done, ground broken on that. We continue to see improvement in resurfacing. Paseo just got a new street surface. Broadway just got a new street surface. We continue to do this work every part of the city. When I was running for mayor in 2019, I said we need to be a city that can walk and chew gum. You can't just do the big stuff, right? You can't just have the World Cup. I'm proud of it. Don't get me wrong. Proud of the World Cup, proud of the Chiefs' success. But the chewing gum is you need to be fixing sidewalks, you need to be fixing streets, you need to be building jobs in the core of our city. And that's something I think we're doing well right now.
So give a little more on that the first project, Parade Park. I seen the shovels going in. How do you feel about that? As I said in the opening, coming from the urban core, these are not strange places for
Right,
you.
right. Let me say a few things about that. First of all, I knew Parade Park well before I was in political office, right? So, as a full stop, right? Sometimes people try to act like you're pretending something or you're trying to just get something done. Now, this matters to me. I sat with my mother as she dealt with sewage coming from the top floor of her Parade Park apartment, dropping onto the kitchen. I saw those conditions deteriorate in that neighborhood. I saw people move out. I saw children and families largely leave. We needed to do something. And so I'm glad instead of us just doing a bunch of patchwork, which is what had been done for 30 years, we said, no, we're going to give people the dignity and the respect that they deserve. Now,
As you
look,
mentioned that, See, when I was in construction, I put 100 roofs on Parade Park,
Ah,
and they were so conscious. They thought I had a white company, and they got ready to boycott me. And my office was at 2414, 16, 18 Vine. I put
mhm.
most of the roofs on down there. Not just there, the commercial buildings, even the Kansas City Call building. So
Yeah.
that's, when you have some history, you can really see things a little
Right.
clearer. And one thing I didn't know that your parents lived there. So if 30 years what took place down there.
You know what I think is most important is that we continue to share our stories with the community too. Because sometimes community, when we talk about housing, doesn't know where we're coming from. I didn't know that you put roofs on back in the day, right? And it is important, I think, particularly for our young people, to see that a lot of us have had a lot of experiences that get us there. Sometimes they say to the brother they looking at on TV like you, or the brother in the mayor's office, what do they know about what I'm going through right now? It is so important for us to make sure that we share that now we have been there. We have been through struggles sometimes. Many of us have persevered through faith, through hard work, that we get things done. And I think that's a sign for what the entire city can be. So that's why I was proud to see that moving forward. I look forward to us doing more. We got a project over at Independence Avenue in Hardesty. We have a number of projects up and down Prospect.
Let me cut you off. What's happening with that the trolley or the
Streetcar.
yeah, give
Yeah,
your
streetcar.
version of that, how that's
Yeah.
helping and all of that crap.
Well, I think a few things. First of all, what ha has happened is that the streetcar has its extension has opened. You can ride the streetcar from UMKC campus. It's about 51st and Main Street, all the way down to the River Market. Coming up in a few months, we will extend that streetcar all the way over to the new women's soccer stadium in the Berkeley Riverfront Park. This will make an interconnected network for anybody in Midtown, Downtown, Plaza, River Market, Riverfront, which is good for Kansas City. Now, the next
No
necessary
doubt about
step,
it. I told you I'm Black Power Ungawa, but when you start looking at the bigger picture, my godfather called the capo, gave me a lot of my civic training. He was like, Carlos, if it's not good for Kansas City, you got no business being involved in it.
that's
And
right.
that's when I was going off the rails, bro. Uh, and that's by having the history, you would never see. Jake Clastain was the first one to come with an idea of that type. I've been around to see it come into fruition.
Yeah, no, you're
And
right. I almost smile or apologize for that when we talk about Clay Chastain, because he ran, what was it, probably six, eight, 10 different ballot issues talking about all of that. I mean, I think what we can say now in Kansas City, those weren't always practical, but I think what we are seeing now is people are saying, for real, we need to have a real investment in transit long term. That's why East-West Streetcar had a meeting at the Joe Brothers establishment over at 18th and Woodland where we were looking at streetcar coming to the east side, the 18th Street extension being worked on right now with Streetcar Authority, KCATA, Councilwoman Melissa Patterson Hasley, my own office, Manuel Cleaver's office. I think that this is a great moment of opportunity for us in connection with all of them and all those steps that we're trying to get taken care of. So that is something I think is going to be special.
what
The
else?
other thing that I think we need to make sure we do, we got to fund our buses. We need to make sure that we have buses that work and can connect people, particularly the Kansas Cityans who live out in Southeast Kansas City, Bannister, Blue Ridge, Longview, Food Lane, everybody who lives out towards Grandview. We will make sure that we continue to do the work necessary to get everybody connected.
What do you have to say about far as connectivity about the fifth district now becoming possibly the largest minority district in Kansas City?
I think if I look at my map again, it might already be there. We need to already recognize that the world, and I think the distinction is third probably still has a larger minority number. Fifth is getting to the point where you got more black people,
Yeah.
right? Third district is seeing a lot more Latino immigrants, others that are coming in the northeast section of the city, and God bless everyone. I love everybody. But I do think that black political power how we are building jobs in the Black community, ensuring that areas that had been historically underinvested still get the attention they need. We are seeing a sea change in Kansas City politics. For the longest time, right, you'd see that talk about what's going on in the third district, that is a center. But I think as we look at the future of the fifth district, particularly as the map keeps changing, then you will have more situations where we need to look at what's happening at 75th and Prospect, what's happening on the other side of 435 in Southeast Kansas
Can
City.
we cut that now? Let's go to a real rapid round. What's happening north of the river? The daggone center.
Data
How much
centers.
time for training people and what have
Yep.
you?
Yep. Northland Workforce Development Center was approved by City Council, I want to say in the spring. It has now broken ground. Hope there is that you get more people trained up for jobs in modern America, not just for
You doing
Kansas City.
what else are y'all doing on that side out
Up
there?
north, of course, we're still proud of airport improvements. We continue to provide new manufacturing opportunities nearby over the years ahead. You're going to see us bringing more kind of not just data centers. I know there's more controversy to that, but more manufacturing jobs in the Northland, more distribution jobs in the Northland, making sure that KCI Airport isn't just an airport, but it's an opportunity for us to build and inspire more economic development and, frankly, more jobs.
Is there anything that y'all are doing working with the Kansas City School District by any chance? Because I don't follow the stuff. I just like I'm coming to you with different things that are on most of our minds, but we
That's
don't
right.
know.
That's right. I love my brothers and sisters at Kansas City Public Schools. Dr. Jennifer Collier, if you don't know her, is doing a wonderful job in terms of how we are actually improving outcomes for our children. Test scores up, attendance up, job opportunities out of school or college or military. You're seeing that increase. I think that this is a renaissance moment for the Kansas City Public School District. It is my view that we need to keep supporting them. We are continuing to support them on apprenticeships and internships, building connections with them and businesses in Kansas City. I think we've had a robust discussion on how much incentive is too much incentive because that often takes funding out of our schools. So I think you are seeing progress there as well. I'm proud of what is the future for the Kansas City Public Schools, and I think it is time for all of us to make sure that we're standing up proudly for KCPS.
All right. So next question: do you think that the downtown council, or to me the would be uh, majority communal leadership, is paying enough attention and putting enough uh, dollars behind their words when it comes to uh, the Black community?
Let me break that down in a few ways. Short answer is it depends on what area you're talking about, right?
Schools and things like that. That's what
Right,
I'm
right. With the
saying.
schools, I don't think anybody's putting enough attention on private support of our public schools. The Kansas City Public School District has a KCPS foundation. That KCPS foundation can do the work, like help our school kids get to the band competition in Chicago, like make sure that our volleyball teams have uniforms, right? And it doesn't take a lot of money to make sure that we're giving that core support. I think the business community could do even more for our school children, and that's something that I think we will continue to push. In terms of the business community's understanding of issues, I think they always bring up public safety and homelessness and some of these other issues, but you need to start at the beginning of the issue, not at the end. If we're worrying about crime only at the end of the scenario, you have missed so many opportunities for intervention up front. So we will continue to try to push them and create opportunities for them to invest in our children younger, to invest in our schools earlier, to make sure that you are looking at the promise of Black children, not just when they're cute little babies, but also when they're 12, 13-year-olds who may not be perfect in every way, but need our mentorship, our funding, and our support. That is something that I think the business community can do more of, and we're going to make them commit to it.
One other thing, because you told me you only had limited time, but I'm trying to get as much stuff out. Uh, Talk to the general public about our infrastructure, because I be interviewing all of y'all, the parks guy, and everybody say man, I got the job, but there's not enough money to correct things that have gone on throughout 30 years of Kansas City. And when we start talking about these taxes and all of these things, I don't think the public understands that you can't fix some of the things, can't nobody. It's going to be a drip drip and an investment. What you were talking about, the future. Can you harp on that a minute?
I think that, what you always need to do in government, and there are realities, you don't lie to people, but you also don't give up. President Clinton used to always say the greatest form of discrimination was the soft bigotry of low expectations. It's this idea that you're telling people your community ain't gonna be better, kids still gonna be bad, there won't be opportunities, there won't be futures. That's terrible. Government is about trade-offs fundamentally. The city of Kansas City is still going to have a $2 billion budget this year. There's going to be some money down in it. But what we need to make sure we're doing is picking the right trade-offs in terms of what we do. So I'm not going to tell people, yeah, we're never getting to your infrastructure. That's not right. What I may tell them is, look, we're trying to triage right now. This is a priority. We know that what you're dealing with matters. How can we make it so your quality of life stays strong? But I will never just live in the land of low expectations. I do think that there is a bigotry to that, saying a neighborhood has to always deal with the same issues, the same violence, the same infrastructure failures. And that's not fair, particularly to Black Kansas City or Black Kansas Citians.
So, in closing, uh, do you have anything that you want to really say to the community that like I said, that you think that they are misconception? I was going to ask you about that stadium stuff, but that's a horse of another color. If you want to talk about any of that, that's fine, but that's not something I would advise you to get involved with. But what do you have to say to our community in closing, as not not as the mayor, Quinton, as a young man? I talked to you before we got on line, coming out of the high school, coming out of this environment. It's like they see you now, but all of us come from the same environment. I don't care what nobody tell me. And the opportunities that are presented to you, you get an opportunity. My stepfather told me one time, everybody gets a chance at that golden ring or to pull that ring, but whether you take it is up to you. And then when you take it, what you do with it. And you've been able to parlay. Talk to our young high school freshmen on what they can be.
One of my favorite back and forths, and it's not from somebody I read about a lot, but it came from a Supreme Court justice who was getting interrogated by a senator. And the senator asked the judge, why should you be on the Supreme Court? And she sat back and she said, well, Senator, I am a famously excellent lawyer. And at the time I heard that, I said, oh man, we don't talk like that in the Midwest. We have humility. You say, I'm nobody, I'm just lucky, I'm just here. No, no. We need to strive to be famously excellent. And if there's something you wonder about my office and we don't get everything right, I won't pretend it. But we try to be famously excellent because Black Kansas Citians broadly, deserve our famously excellent efforts. As people continue to build blue ribbon schools in Johnson County, right, we need to make sure that we're building up our schools so that they can be blue ribbon, achieving famous excellence. As we talk about infrastructure, and we see communities all around us that have hundreds of millions of extra dollars to spend on it, we need to say, yeah, we know we got our challenges, but we will be committed to being famously excellent. And when we talk to our young people, we need to make sure that they know and understand that we don't just expect them to get by. We don't just expect them to find some gig. We want them to know that we will lift them up wherever life may take them so that they can be famously excellent. That's what I believe in for our community. That's why I show up and work hard every day. And that's what I think the Black community in Kansas City deserves.
All right. Uh, so as we close all the time, when you invest in your community, you're really just investing.
This is brought to you by Kansas City Business Association, working to improve our community.